This is Co-op Chronicles, episode 84, The Kurim Case. Hello and welcome back to Co-op Chronicles. This is episode 84. I am Pint-Sized Geisha, and as always, I have Black Label.
Hello.
And that's all.
That's
no
all.
As a lead today.
Yeah. She's working. So let's get into it. This is a weird case that I seen on YouTube, and I listened to a few podcasts on it, and I thought it was very interesting, and I kind of wanted to cover it. It's based in the Czech Republic. But before we get into it, all the new listeners, feel free to follow, like, rate us, whatever. It helps out. I just noticed that, like, we probably should start saying it more, so I feel like I should say it. But anyways, I'm going to start off with a family that should not exist. Did you want to say anything or add anything before we get into it, Bim?
Nope, go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Before I start talking?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What are you doing? Somebody message you?
Yep.
Okay. So some crimes shock you because they suddenly happen. Others stay with you because they were allowed to happen for years. So the Kurim case falls into that second category. And once you hear it, it's hard to believe that it went on for as long as it did, because it's kind of insane, as I said before. So this story isn't about a single moment of violence. It's about a system of abuse that quietly existed inside of a family, hidden behind locked doors, manipulated identities, and a level of control so extreme that even professionals failed to see it for what it was. And the scariest part, from the outside, this family doesn't look unusual. They seem like a normal family. They lived in an apartment in Czech Republic. They appeared private but not suspicious. It was a mother raising her children. She had relatives involved, people coming and going. So it was just like a normal household. Nothing suspicious. Nothing that would make a neighbor call police, or nothing that would make teachers raise alarms. Nothing that screamed any danger. But inside that home, something deeply was wrong. Something deeply was happening. Something that should have not happened, something that should not have been impossible to hide for how long it was going on. So Geisha,
Yep.
when you hear about cases where abuse is hidden in plain sight, not by secrecy alone, but by people accepting what they see, does that make it seem more unsettling than a random crime?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yes. When you hear about cases where the abuse is hidden in plain sight, does it make it seem more unsettling than like a random crime?
Yeah, I would think so. You think you know somebody, but then you really don't know somebody, and you're like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, I never thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you talk to somebody and they're going through some stuff, or they're actually ones doing something kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Because that's what this case is, and it's very hard to process with this case. So this wasn't chaos, like I said. It wasn't a snap decision. This was routine in this family's life. Children were isolated, control was enforced every day, and reality itself was kind of manipulated to keep everyone in line. So, because the Kurim case isn't just disturbing, it's methodical, and what finally exposed it wasn't an investigation, it wasn't a confession or a tip from someone outside. It was actually an accident. Like, the way it happened and way they found out how this shit was going on, it's fucking insane. Like, I listened to it and I was like, if this person wouldn't have done this, they would never have known. So a moment where the story was cracked, everything that spilled out was worse than anybody imagined. Okay. So as we go through the case, I want you to keep one question in mind, is that how does something like this survive for years without anyone stepping in or anyone noticing? Because the answer isn't simple, and it forces us to confront how easily it is to control, like, silence and trust, how it can be twisted into something dangerous. So let's get into the next segment, okay? You there? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm not interrupting you. Go ahead.
Oh my God, that's not even what I'm asking. You look focused.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I'm updating something from I got email.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the children, no one was watching. Okay. So before anyone knew that there was a crime, there was already victims. But the thing about the Kurim case isn't that the warning signs didn't look like warning signs, at least not at first. So the center of the story is a woman named Clara. I can't pronounce the name. It was like Marova, a single mother raising two young sons. On paper, her life didn't stand out. She wasn't healthy. She wasn't wealthy. Sorry. She wasn't influential. She was living in some isolated off the grid style, or she wasn't living some isolated off the grid lifestyle. She was just private. She wasn't like a person that stood out and that was suspicious. She was just like a normal person that liked their privacy. And so that privacy became the perfect cover. Her children were pulled out of school. Contact with the outside world was pretty limited. Doctors, teachers, and neighbors rarely saw them. And when they did, explanations were always ready. Like they always had an answer for everything. So if they were sick or if they were being homeschooled, behavioral issues, family stress, stuff like that, nothing immediately screamed abuse. Babe,
Mm-hmm.
since you're in like the medical field,
Mm-hmm.
when you hear that kids were slowly removed from public view like this, like I wouldn't say like in like a regular view, and it wasn't like sudden, but piece by piece, like suddenly like you saw them kind of like disappear out of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Would you think something dangerous was happening, or do you think that like it was like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah, I would say something might be up.
Yeah, because
Where'd they go?
yeah.
What happened? Why aren't they outside?
you
What's
work in
going
like the
on?
medical stuff, so you think like that.
Yeah, well, that would be hard to come across in my field of work because we would only see them when they're sick or, once a year.
Mm-hmm.
And most times parents forget to do their children's annuals like myself.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't really see them that often.
Okay.
But if, let's say, there was a kid running outside every day and he's outside every
Mhm.
day and he's active and all of a sudden he's nowhere to be found, then I'd be like, what happened?
Like slowly, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. With that in mind, like nobody else did that. So nothing that happened like immediately screamed abuse in this situation, which is crazy. Because this wasn't a disappearance. It was like an erosion. It's kind of like a plague, kind of like picking away slowly. And over time, the boys became increasingly isolated, completely dependent on the adults around them, and not just for food or shelter, but for reality itself. They were told that this was the normal thing, that this is what they deserved, and that this is what happens if they disobeyed. And when a child grows up in an environment like that, it's kind of like it's cruelty, right?
Mhm.
There's a fine line between discipline and cruelty, and I think that's where this kind of case goes to. What makes it even harder to stomach is that Clara wasn't alone. There was other adults present in this. Other family members were involved in this. People who should have had like been safeguard for these kids instead became enforcers. So when you think about that, does that change your view on how this case is going to go? That it wasn't just one parent in the acting of all this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because you just said it's not going to just be one parent. It's going to be a collectiveness
I know, but what does that make you feel?
that there's more than one evil person.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay. All right. What are you not? What does that look for too?
I'm just waiting to when I can talk.
You can talk anytime you want.
But I can't interrupt you.
Okay. I apologize for that earlier.
Mm.
Okay. But I
Mm.
would love for you to talk. What are you looking at? You looking at some food over there?
Yeah.
Oh, it
Yeah.
looks delicious.
Yeah.
Is that flan?
This is Japanese desserts.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, so continuing on. So this whole thing was structured. Rules were created, punishments were normalized, and the children learned very quickly that resistance only made things worse. And still, no one stepped in because no one cared. No one knew what was going on, and no one knew the whole, like, they didn't see the whole picture or full picture. And The pieces they did see were easy to explain, at least until something happened that no one could explain. It was kind of crazy how this all happened. So, the lie that cracked everything open. So again, for years, all this abuse kind of was going on in the Kurim house, and it stayed hidden because everyone else was playing their role to make it hidden. The mother, the concerned relatives, children who were difficult, and a family that just wanted to be left alone. So it just seemed like, oh, this is just that type of people, or those type of people in that type of family.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as those roles stay intact, no one would look any closer until, what happens. So this is crazy how it was exposed. So it wasn't a confession, and it wasn't like a police investigation. Nobody called the cops. There wasn't no report of abuse. It was technology. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So get this.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2007, a relative of Clara's installed a baby monitor inside the apartment, right?
Okay.
The kind meant to keep an eye on the children in another room, like a Ring camera, something
Yeah.
like that, a baby monitor.
Yeah.
And it wasn't meant to spy on them. It was just reassurance. But instead of reassurance, the monitor transmitted something horrifying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Footage showed one boy being restrained. He was beaten, starved, and tortured. And this is like a child,
Jesus.
right? Yeah. And it wasn't like in a moment of rage.
Mm-hmm.
This happened repeatedly. And what made it even more disturbing is how calm everything looked. Like there was no chaos, there was no panic in it. It was just like routine cruelty carried out as if it was like a normal thing. So hearing that, babe,
Mm-hmm.
do you think this hits differently knowing that this wasn't uncovered because somebody finally spoke up, but it was accidentally showed to the world what happened?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
Poor little thing.
Yeah. So again, like I said, it was like the monitor.
Mm-hmm.
So
why did they put the monitor in there in the first place?
I don't know. They just wanted to keep an eye on the kids, right? But their neighbor, they just had a beautiful baby. They got the baby home and they installed their own camera, and set it all up. But for some reason, they picked up this other transmission on their monitor thing. And that's when their neighbor seen this, and he was like, "Man, it must be a fluke. What's going on? It must be some issue." And what he seen on there was kind of like crazy. And he went to work, and then he's like thinking about it. And he's like, "What really was that?" So when he gets off of work, he's like, "Maybe I'm gonna see if I can find it again." And he goes through it again, and he finds the same little boy locked up in the same room with the same stuff happening to him. And so he calls the cops, and the cops come over. And they're like investigating, right? And all this stuff. And when he contacted them or whatever, the cops went to the neighbor's house and knocked on the door, went through the house and all this stuff. And they were asking like, "Hey, what's going on? Do you guys know anything about this?" And they're like, "Oh no, this is our kids, whatever." And they noticed like a basement door was locked, or like a room was locked. But they didn't say anything of it. Like the woman had like an answer right away for it. So they're like, "Oh, it's nothing." They go back to the neighbor who called, right? And they're like, "Yeah, I mean, nothing's happening over there," and all this stuff. And they're like, "Can I see that again?" And they go and they look at it, and he like rewinds the footage, and the cop hears himself talking to the lady, and he's like, "Yeah, something's going on. Like there's a camera there." So they go over there, bust it open, they find everything, right? It gets a little crazy now. So when authorities were finally contacted, what they found inside the apartment, again, was worse than what the monitor showed. The boys were malnourished, covered in injuries, physically and psychologically broken. And when they're malnourished, it's like their body's kind of like deteriorating, right?
Your body's like weak, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. You would know more than that to me. Again, they're physically and psychologically broken. And as investigators began asking questions, another lie fell apart. The family claimed that a teenage girl was living with them at the time as a relative, a harmless, shy family member, helping around the house. I'm not going to get crazy in detail with this stuff. There's a lot in the story that I'm going to not cover or cut out because it would be like a long thing. But again, she wasn't a teenager. She was an adult woman. have
That
you ever?
was living with him.
Yeah, acting as if she was a teenager, and she was like she was kind of like adopted as like a child to that mother, and the mother herself thought it was a kid or thought she was a kid, right? When you hear something or someone pretending to be a child, doesn't that's crazy, right?
Yeah, it reminds me of that one case where, or supposedly, I don't know.
The
There's so
movie,
many.
the movie.
No, there's. I don't know if this is actually true or not because in real life they said they were unsure. There's so many stories about it. About the little girl who was adopted, but she was really like in her 30s.
Yeah, it's a movie.
Yeah, but it's also based off like a real story.
Yeah, it's called The Orphan. Yeah, that's this story. That thing is based off of this. So Orphan came out in 2009. This all happened in 2007.
Oh, so it's basically
Yeah. So again, there was no false identity. Like it was just weird how it all happened, and it's gonna get even more deeper the more we go through. So the woman who wasn't a child, right? At first, investigators believed that they were dealing with a deeply abusive household. Horrific, but sadly not unheard of. You know, a lot of people, a lot of kids have to deal with this stuff. It's sad, but that's just the way the world is. Then they realized something that kind of changed the entire case, right? The teenage girl living in the apartment, the one everyone referred to as just quiet, shy, troubled relative, like she was just all this stuff. She was not a child at all, okay? She was a grown-ass woman, and her real name was Barbara Skarlova. She had been pretending to be a 13-year-old girl. I don't understand how a grown-ass woman can be seen as a 13-year-old girl.
Maybe she was really short.
Yeah, I'm gonna get into it more so you understand, but it's crazy what she did to keep this up. So she dressed like a child, spoke like a child, allowed herself to be treated like a child, and somehow these people around her believed it. And what makes the part of this Kurim case so disturbing isn't just that Barbara lied about her age. It's just how long the lie lasted and how many adults accepted without question. Again, what I'm covering, it doesn't take away what's going on with the kids. It's just there's a whole lot to pack in this, and it's out there. Like everything is crazy. So does that detail, babe, mess with you a little bit, knowing that it wasn't it wasn't a child, it was an adult? That yeah, like knowing that the entire system designed to protect children failed too, and one of them wasn't even a child. Yeah.
So was she a part of the group that was being abused as a kid?
It gets a little crazy. It gets a little crazy.
I'm not following, but okay. Maybe it'll all make sense later.
So again, this wasn't an oversight with what was happening. It required a lot of people to stop asking questions. And investigators later determined that Barbara wasn't just present, she was active in the abuse. Okay. So she was a part of it. She reinforced punishments to the kids. She supported the rules, and she maintained the environment of fear inside of the house. So this wasn't someone who was just trapped or shy or surviving. She was actively participating in all this abuse. So like obviously she's an adult willing to harm kids. Harm them while acting as a kid or living as a child in order to enable abuse. It's just bonkers. It's crazy. Again, things start shifting, right? This wasn't a household spiraling out of control. It was organized. Roles were assigned, authority was enforced, and reality itself was written inside of these walls. And Barbara's false identity wasn't just a disguise, it was a tool. By pretending to be a child, she blurred the lines. She was able to avoid suspicion, and she helped create a closed system where nothing was questioned. But lies like this can't survive forever, okay? And when authorities finally separated people and they started doing their investigation, right? They started digging deeper into Barbara's past, and they realized that this case wasn't confined to one apartment. It was bigger and far more disturbing than anyone expected. So
Okay.
Again, we're going to talk about Barbara, the woman child.
The woman child.
The woman child, okay?
Okay.
So we start getting into her past deceptions, and this wasn't the first family she had infiltrated.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind. Once investigators pulled apart Barbara Skarlova's fake identity, they expected to find confusion, maybe desperation, maybe someone caught in a lie that went too far, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was not what was happening here, babe. What they uncovered instead was a pattern. So Barbara hadn't just pretended to be a child once; she had done it before in other countries, with other families, and under different names. So like she's crazy. I don't even know the word you would call this
I
person.
feel like she in all the like documentaries and stuff that I've heard and watched about, didn't she have a mental health illness? Wasn't she like schizophrenic or something?
I think it's mentioned in one of the podcasts that I listened to.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not 100% sure. She definitely has to have some sort of mental disorder to want to live as a child.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not exactly 100% sure what it was, though. Again, she had a history of inserting herself into households by presenting herself as a vulnerable, troubled, and in need of care kid.
Mm-hmm.
And once she was accepted, she would adapt to whatever role would keep her protected. And sometimes it was a victim, sometimes it was a helper, and sometimes, like this case, it was far darker.
Mm-hmm.
And this wasn't like impulsive behavior, it was practice. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but when you hear someone obviously not pretending to be a child, do you see this person's case in the role like obviously deeper than what it sounds like?
What?
Okay, when you hear that this wasn't her first time pretending to be a
Right.
child,
Okay.
does that shift you or shift how you see her role in this case?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but at the same time, it's like she's not the only one doing it.
No,
She
she's
played a
not.
part in it, but a lot of other people were doing it too. So I mean,
Mhm.
I can't. Yes, she's to blame, but if she's the one who started it all and talked
Mhm.
everybody else into doing it, then yeah, she's definitely like
Mhm.
number one.
No, yeah. I mean, it's just weird because like
Mm-hmm.
as I get into it, like the adults didn't know that this kid was an adult.
Right.
And that these adults have something dark going on even without this crazy stuff happening with this kid. So there's just like a whole lot of craziness happening.
Yeah, happening.
Yeah. So again, investigators quickly realized Barbara understood systems better than people expected, obviously, because she's she's infiltrating households. You know, she
Mhm.
knew how social service worked. She knew how authorities hesitated to challenge like fragile children. Like they knew they had to be delicate with them. You know what I mean? She knew that politeness and discomfort could be exploited, and she used that knowledge to move undetected. And in the Kurim household, her presence helped reinforce control. She validated the abuse, she normalized the cruelty, and she helped create a reality where suffering wasn't questioned and it was expected. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And that's the terrifying implication here, is that this wasn't a family accidentally influenced by the wrong person. This was a person who sought out families who were influenced, who are where influence could be power. And as authorities continued digging, they uncovered something even more unsettling. Barbara didn't just disappear after the Kurim case. She didn't just disappear after the Kurim case was exposed. She somehow escaped and she ran away after being detained by the cops.
So she got arrested.
Everybody in this
escaped,
household
and
got arrested.
And she left it.
She ran away somehow.
How did she even get
She slipped through the
out?
bars because she was so like tiny. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, and for a time she succeeded. But we'll cover how Barbara vanished and how she crossed borders and how she once again fooled people that was meant to protect children. Sorry. But we're gonna talk about that. Sorry. And after the abuse was exposed and arrests were made, like I said, it seemed like the worst part of the Kurim case was finally over. But the thing is, like I said, the one person was missing. Barbara Skolova was gone. Despite being central to the deception and abuse, she managed to slip away before authorities could finally detain her. And what happened is one of the most frustrating parts of this whole entire case. She didn't hide, right? She basically reinvented herself again.
As a new baby.
Yeah, she fled the Czech Republic and resurfaced in Norway, where she once again posed as a child. This time, she claimed to be a young boy in need of protection. She was taken in by a family, enrolled in school, and placed under the care of child services. And somehow, no one fucking questioned, is she a boy? Is she a kid? This grown woman passed as a child, like a boy. Doesn't that like blow your mind? I don't know.
It does, but at the same time, it's like, one, I heard this before, and two, I wouldn't put it past people nowadays.
Yeah, I guess
I really wouldn't put it past people.
when I heard it, I was like, what the hell? How does something like this even happen? I know there's crazy shit in the world. I know there's a lot of horrible stuff that happens in the world, but like some crazy stuff like this is even, it's just hard to explain.
Yeah.
Again, so this wasn't luck, right? I was saying this was a person who understood like how things worked, how empathy and bureaucracy could be exploited. She knew which details to avoid. She knew how to appear fragile without raising a question. She knew that people didn't want to be the one who was accused who accused a child of lying, a fragile child at that, you know. Eventually, authorities did catch up to her, though. Her fingerprints, documentation, and international cooperation finally exposed her real identity. But by then, the damage has already been done with that whole family, not just the victims previously, but like to the systems that were supposed to protect children or supposed to protect them. So again, this wasn't a failure of one person. It was like the failure of trust, the failure of structure and oversight, repeated across borders. And as Barbara's story unravels, investigators turned their attention back to the Kurim household, the mother, right? The person I was talking about.
Right, the mama.
Yeah, we're going to go back to that. I was just talking about how crazy that stuff was.
Right.
Again, Barbara didn't create this environment alone. And the question still remained, how much did Klara Morova, the mother, really know? Okay. So up until now, it's been easy to focus on Barbara Skolova. I don't know how to say her name, you know. Her deception, her fake identities, her ability to move through the systems without being caught. Again, the Kurim case doesn't exist without Klara, the mother. She was the constant of what was happening, and she was the person who never left the center of this environment. Klara wasn't a passive bystander in her own home. She controlled access to her children. She decided who came in, who stayed, who was trusted, and over time she allowed and enforced a system that revolved entirely around obedience and punishment. So investigators would later describe the household as rigid, a rule-driven, and deeply controlling place. The abuse wasn't chaotic, though. It just followed patterns, and those patterns didn't come across like weird. They didn't come from a stranger. They came from the person the children were supposed to be the safest with. As a mother, honey, how do you feel like knowing that this mother wasn't coerced into the situation, but actively did this to her own children?
We don't know exactly what it is that she did. We didn't go into a lot of details.
Malnourished.
But at the same time,
tortured. They're locked up in a room, and like their two boys were locked up, but the women were like free in the house. Yeah. They locked them up.
That's just crazy.
In a basement.
Yeah. I mean, who does that to your babies? I don't understand. I mean, I have kids and they've pissed me off, and we've had a hard couple years, but I've never ever felt like, oh, I'm just gonna lock my child in a room and starve them.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's another level of crazy.
Yeah.
No judgment, but judgment.
Yeah. No, a lot of judgment.
Yeah.
Again, that's where people start to struggle with this case. I know there's like so much happening in this case, and it's hard to cover it all. So I'm sorry if I don't like explain thoroughly what's happening.
Yeah.
It's tempting to believe that Klara was manipulated. the mother. Like she was under this little person's control, Barbara's control, and she lost control of her household after realizing it. And this little person infiltrated it and did all their stuff. You know what I mean? But the evidence doesn't support that at all. Clara, the mother, was participating in these punishments. She enforced the isolation of their kid or her kids. She allowed cruelty to continue to these kids. Um, Again, it's like very uncomfortable to sit with because that discomfort matters when it comes to this case. Like this case forces us to confront the idea that abuse doesn't always come from chaos and like desperation. Sometimes it comes from control and like controlling people and like saying what they can and cannot do from a belief system that justifies harm in the name of like discipline or obedience or correction. And while Barbara played a key role, Clara was the one who was giving the permission to do all this stuff to her kids, which led to even harder realizations. If Barbara had never entered that household, something that was already broken, and like these kids were already trapped before her.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
That
So
was my next question. Like, did she convince her mom?
no, and that's what I'm saying. Like this was happening already, but this
Gotcha.
person was in there. So it's just, it makes this case even wilder that she was there and the mother didn't even know that this person was an adult.
Right, but a lot of people didn't know she was adult. I think you're kind of focusing just on that fact when when I'm more focused as like these boys. There's just like one craziness that got inputted into a bigger craziness.
Yeah, there's a lot of craziness happening. So once the truth was finally exposed, everything really moved fast. Police raids, medical examinations, emergency removals. What had gone unnoticed for years suddenly became undeniable. So the children were taken into protective custody, and authorities began the difficult work of separating fact from manipulation. Investigators weren't just trying to understand what happened; they were trying to understand how all this was allowed in this household. It was about failure by the family, failure by the institutions, failure by systems designed to protect these kids. Clara was arrested and charged for her role in her child's abuse. There were two
Good.
kids, like one was like a toddler and the other was a little older than that person. Other adults were involved in this household. They were also held accountable, varying degrees. The court proceedings were complicated, slow, emotionally draining, especially because so much abuse had been normalized. From what I recall, there was like doctors involved in this, and I do believe they might have essayed the kids, the boys, and stuff like that. There was just a lot happening with these little boys.
Poor things.
Yeah. Again, this wasn't a single offender acting alone. It was a network, like I was saying. Courts aren't built to untangle this type of psychological manipulation, and it's very hard for them to do it, especially when the children have been conditioned not to speak, not to resist, and not to trust anyone outside of the home. So they just think this is a normal thing. You know what I mean? Again, that's one of the hardest truths here. By the time authorities stepped in, the damage has already been done to these boys. While sentences were handed down to the mother and all the other people that were in it, the law can punish actions, but it struggles to address the environment and what happened. And that's what makes the Kurim case linger, is that not just a crime, but as a warning, because even after everything was exposed, the question remained, how many other situations like this can exist? I'm trying to remember, I believe the mother, the doctors and all these other people that were involved were telling the mother, like, this is what needs to be happening. Like, you need to do this to make them better and stuff like that.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, I mean, this is 2007.
That's still the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life, especially from a doctor. Like, excuse me? What?
Yeah. When cases like this make headlines, the focus is almost, I guess it's always a shock to the people that are like reading or hearing it. Like me, the lies, the deception, the people who cause the harm to these boys, her own children. But once the cameras leave and the trials end, what remains are the survivors and the long road they're left to walk. For the children at the center of the Kurim case, Rescue wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of something even more complicated, right? So, after years of isolation and abuse, um, that stuff doesn't disappear. The moment someone is removed from danger, the boys had to relearn what normal looked like, how to trust adults, how to
Yeah.
exist without fear of punishment, how to make choices without consequences hanging over them because they thought everything was wrong, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of healing doesn't happen quickly. Again, babe, because you just said, yeah. When you think about recovery cases like this, do you feel people underestimate how long it can take to rebuild the sense of safety?
Yeah. Like it take forever.
Sometimes it doesn't even happen.
Sometimes it doesn't even happen. If you break somebody's trust like that, especially when it's like your parents are the one who's are supposed to love you no matter
Mhm.
what and protect you and be that kind of like shield, right? And when that doesn't happen,
Mhm.
where do you get that from?
Yeah.
How can you trust somebody to give that to you when your own parent didn't give it to you?
Yeah, I feel like the recovery itself isn't physical, it's psychological,
Mhm.
it's emotional, and it's like I don't know how it's learning that, it's how to be a person again. For a kid, that's
Yeah.
incredibly hard.
Yeah. It's basically like somebody broke you down and you
Mhm.
need to build yourself back up by yourself.
Yeah.
Well, of course, you have help of like your therapists, your counselors, and all that stuff. But the real work is like you have to learn how to understand it, forgive it, and let it go, and then build yourself back up.
And most of the time, you're just locking it away. Like it seems like it's very incredibly hard for people
It
to
is.
get over stuff.
Yeah. Poor things.
Yeah. Again, while the legal system moved on, the impact of what's happened stayed with them in ways that can't be measured by sentences to these people that did it or the headlines that people covered.
Mm-hmm.
This is the part of the story that doesn't come with neat conclusions, no dramatic ending, no moment where everything feels resolved, just people trying to reclaim pieces of themselves that were taken long before anyone noticed. And that's the reality. And in this case, and it forces us to confront something uncomfortable. Justice can stop harm, right? But it can't erase it. Yeah, it's bonkers. So again, the Kurim case doesn't end with a twist. It ends with questions, okay? Because once you strip away the deception, the fake identities, and the courtroom outcomes, what you're left with is something far more unsettling. The realization that this wasn't hidden in some untraceable place. It was existed inside of a family, inside of a home, where systems were meant to protect children, inside everyday routines that no one questioned deeply enough. And this stuff would not have been found out if it wasn't for a camera mistake, you know.
So a relative put a camera in the house.
So
and
there's
then the
like
next door neighbor. Don't interrupt me.
Okay, sorry. Continue.
So a relative put a camera in the house to keep an eye on the boys, but then the next door neighbor had a brand new baby and had a baby monitor, and their camera picked up the feed from next door, and that's how they found out, like, oh, something's not right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then while that main crime was happening, the other crazy stuff was happening with
At the same time.
Yeah,
right.
at the same time.
With the little girl.
Yeah.
See how I say we always interrupt each other on the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Uh-huh.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But when I'm talking to the listeners,
we're always talking to the listeners.
Yeah,
Are we not?
Right. No, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. My mistake, boss.
Just a little background. This is our second take.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our first take I interrupted.
Oh my God, why you gotta get so deep into it like that?
I'm just saying. The people are going to be like, what are they talking about?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. No shame. No shame.
No shame.
Yeah, don't be ashamed.
Nope. Okay, this case forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that abuse, again, doesn't always announce itself with chaos or violence. Sometimes it arrives quietly, wrapped in a structure, discipline, and authority type place. And it survives because it feels like a normal thing where people are living inside of it and nobody wants to question it. Again, it's bonkers how long it took anyone to really notice or notice. Like I said, this wouldn't have been caught if it wasn't for that. because the delay matters, right? It reminds us that safeguarding isn't just about reacting to harm, it's about noticing the absence of people or what you see around you normally. Silence, withdrawals from people, patterns that don't quite add up, because the Kurim case exposes the gaps between intention and action, between rules and reality. And while justice was eventually served, it came years after the suffering. Who knows how long, actually? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The mother thought it was okay, thought it was a normal thing. And there's no clean ending here, just a reminder that vigilance isn't paranoia, that asking
Vigilance? What?
vigilance, that vigilance, sorry.
Vigilance.
Vigilance, sorry. Thank you for correct at vigilance. Vigilance. Vigilance isn't paranoia. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's the word I was thinking of. And that asking questions isn't accusation. It's sometimes it's the most dangerous situations are the ones that look like ordinary places, where you ignore them.
Mhm.
Again, I'm not gonna. That's pretty much what I have written. But I know a couple more things that happened, right?
Mhm.
So after the mother was sentenced to prison, I don't know how long she was there, but when she got out, the boys eventually moved back in with her.
Oh God.
Yeah. They seen forgiveness in her, and they went through their stuff, and they believe that their mother will change and all that stuff. I mean, if you want to get crazy into like detail and figure out all the stuff that I didn't cover, there's plenty of podcasts or the actual documentation of this case. It's bonkers.
Mhm.
I just wanted to do a quick one because it was just me and Geisha and no Azalee, and it's late, and I was like, let's just do this. You know what I mean? Yeah. After hearing this case, babe, what part stayed with you the most? Because I know there was a lot of crazy stuff.
I heard about the adult pretending to be a kid before, but I didn't know that she was like put in another crazy situation.
And was involved in a crazy
Yeah,
situation.
and was involved in all of that.
Yeah. That's the crazy thing you heard?
Yeah.
Or to you?
Yeah.
Do you think like cases like this change how society should approach children welfare and intervention?
Yeah. I mean, this is not the first time I've heard about like, kids being mistreated by their parents and it taking so long for someone to notice it. Unfortunately, like sometimes that's the case and it's pretty sad.
Yeah.
But I do feel like if once someone does say something, it happens pretty quickly and stuff like that,
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's sad though.
Yeah, it is sad.
The one about the Mormon mom, Ruby.
Oh,
so
the
whatever.
YouTuber?
Yeah, the YouTuber.
That one was crazy. I kind of want to cover that one too.
I just watched a documentary on it the other day.
It's on there's a ton of documentaries. I watched Stephanie, is it Stephanie So? And she did like a huge thing. Isn't there a YouTube, or not YouTube, Netflix documentary on it yet? Or no?
Yeah, there's like 2.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's bonkers.
Bonkers.
How many people got locked up in that one? Did the dad didn't get locked up, right? It was like the mom and some lady.
Yeah, the mom and the life coach.
Yeah, I just remember she constantly did YouTube videos
about being a good mom.
Yeah, while all this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't she like throw a mattress out for one of them to sleep outside or something like that? It was I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I just heard a lot of crazy stuff. But again, that's all I got. Until next time, right? Keep grinding those. Did you want to add anything?
No.
Attitude.
I wonder why.
Yeah, keep grinding those levels and finishing those side quests. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Such a pain. Such a goddamn pain.
We gather around the mic. Tales of knights and dice. Gaming worlds collide. Hobbies come alive. Azalee and Geisha chat. Black labels where it's at. secrets to unfold. Co-op Chronicles, come and join the ride in a world where fun resides. Co-op Chronicles, hear the stories, feel